So first, we're going to talk about storage. So if I want to save it to here, by default, it's going to time and date stamp it. So I would rename it. So rename it anything you want. I'm going to rename it, we'll just name it test, and I hit OK. I'll show you where that saves in just a second. So if I hit save again, you can see it's right there under my storage. But if I go into my cloud account, I'm going to have to first add it. So I'm going to hit add, and you can see I can add up to 6 accounts. So for instance, those one of the community spaces, you could have multiple teachers in there if you wanted to save content, if you want to use it as a breakout space. So I'm simply going to hit add an account. I'm going to go to my Google Drive. It's going to prompt me to log in, okay? And then give Google all your information. So it's going to prompt you to log in. You're going to do this once. It's sticky, okay? So when I go back, this is the Wi-Fi, or the internet's been a little slow. So you're going to log in. I know you haven't seen this tool yet, but I'm going to jump back to here. So once you log in, and I go back to my save, and I go to my Google Drive, my icon will be there. I'm just going to select that. When I select it, it's going to open it up, and it's going to say, where do I want to save it to? I would recommend making a folder or something that said Clevertouch or Whiteboard, whatever you wanted to save, and then it would go into that folder. Does that make sense, the 2 ways to save? You don't have to save anything. Like, you can save whatever you want, but sometimes I'll run into teachers like, I've been saving every note. I was like, did you save every note before? And they're like, no. And I was like, well, then you don't need it. Right. So like, but it's just if you have that ability too, instead of like do not erase or whatever, you have that ability to save and show student work now. So those are the ways to save. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm also going to show you how to bring content into Whiteboard. Just a minute, but I can also bring content into Whiteboard as well. Okay. Any questions about this before we move on? Okay. This floating toolbar is going to follow me everywhere I go. So it's going to follow me when I connect to my device. Everywhere I go on the Android side, it's going to follow me. When I open it up, I realize that there's a ton of tools in here. We're going to take them on one by one. Home is the most important. Every time I hit home, it goes to the home screen of this panel. So even when I'm connected to my computer, I hit home, it goes right here. So when in doubt, just hit home, right? It starts you over. Where do I need to go now? So we were in Whiteboard. We're going to talk about files. So this is the storage of the panel. So you'll notice that right here, this is where I saved that Whiteboard. So now when I open it back up, completely live. All my pages are there. I can erase anything if I wanted to. I can add anything to it. Completely live. Okay? So you're probably not going to spend a ton of time in files. It's just going to be anything that you want to save and bring back up. Okay? Now if I was connected to my Google Drive, you'd see my little Drive account there. Think of this as like a one-way street into Drive. Like I'm just using it to save content into there. I'm not going to access my full Google Drive through this. I'm going to show you a different way. So you're probably not going to do a ton when you look at Drive through here. But as I mentioned, you can save what you want. So if I saved a bunch of things through the week and I thought, oh, let me clean out that storage. If I decide, oh, I don't really need this, I can just go, let me move this over here. I can just highlight it. I can just go to my little gear shift and say, I can delete that. So I can move anything off it if I decide I don't want it anymore. So save what you'd like. It's completely up to you, But that's about it on files. Yes?
This is saved only to this device? There's
Yes.
no opening it anywhere else?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless you signed into your Google Drive.
But then it's just a picture?
Yes.
Right.
If you sign into your Google Drive on one of those, and you open it from there, it will open in Whiteboard.
Okay.
Because you're opening it on a Clevertouch. When you take it home or you post it to your Google Classroom, that your family's not going to have a Clevertouch to open it in the Whiteboard app. Do you see what I mean? You need that app. Otherwise, it's going to save as an image file. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the only way to make them is to stand at the board and use your fingers
Yes.
to make everything?
There's nothing at home. Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So if I make it and I save it to my Google Drive, can I then share it to my team? Can they open it on theirs?
They can't. They would just open it on their Clevertouch. Does that make sense? So, are you going to make something?
What?
Are you making us something?
Oh, no, I mean, we share
Yeah.
plans, so it's easy to.
Yes, so if you,
open
as long as you open it on Whiteboard, yeah, it's gonna open. I'm gonna show you two more things in here. This snipping tool allows me to bring anything I want into Whiteboard. So a lot of teachers like, I don't really like the annotation tools because I don't have all the colors and arrows, it's not as fun.
You can't undo.
You can't undo.
Right.
So basically that snipping tool allows me to kind of customize whatever I want. So I can take a picture of the whole thing, or I can customize something very specific. I can save that image, or this easel. I don't know why it's not the same icon, it drives me batty. If I use this easel, it's gonna take a snippet, then it's gonna put it into Whiteboard. And now we can use whatever, all these tools and say, oh, it's very hot here. So, that's how I can bring anything into Whiteboard. So a lot of times the document camera, I'll show teachers, I'm like, oh, we'll just snip them, snip multiple pages, and you can put all 3 documents on one page, because I can just move this over, snip another one, move it over, snip another one. So it just gives you a little versatility. But that snipping tool will bring anything you want into Whiteboard.